For students, I'm excited to bring to you all your peer, somebody who is in the same grind that you are in. I was so excited to meet this brother because when I saw his story, I was like, let me tap in with him. 18 years old, still in high school, just sold 1,000 books in a week. So it's somebody that you all should talk to because I let them know that all of you all in here are published authors or your books are being published. Most of you all have, you can bring them in. Most of you all already have books. Some of y'all didn't do what you're supposed to do. Most of y'all already have books and you get your second book published or your third book published, or maybe your first book's being published. But this is somebody who I think you all should tap in with, have a conversation, learn from, understand what it is he did to run up his numbers, and that this is a good connection for you all to have, all right? Because he understands what you're going, there's nothing you can say that he doesn't understand. If he just did 1,000, you can do 1,000, all right? But I'm so excited, my brother Chris, man, listen, honored to have you, brother. It's a privilege to have you here. And we're gonna connect, man, we're gonna connect. I got some people right now that's interested, so we'll connect afterwards, all right? I gotta run and jump on another meeting, but I'm excited to have you here, and the floor is yours, my brother. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McDavid, for giving me the opportunity. First of all, so as he said, Chrisstedman. I go to Laverne High School, which is Tennessee. It's around the Nashville area, probably about 15 minutes away from Nashville. I got this. So I'm just gonna hop straight into it. To be honest with you, ever since I was little, probably about around first grade, I've always been to writing. I couldn't really, I mean, not that I couldn't do it. I really didn't like math, science, all the other stuff. I knew that my gift was writing. I like stories, writing down just anything, whether it was poems, what I did, what I was going to do for the weekend. I would write down lists of things I wanted to do. So writing has always been a passion of mine. And during the pandemic, 2020, during COVID and just being locked in the house, I really just had the time to sit down and write and get this book out. And being so young and now I'm a junior. Now I'm a senior. Being a junior during that time, I figured, go ahead and get started on my life now and figure out what I wanted to do. And writing is one of those big things. And I'm actually in a process right now with this first book, and I'm actually just now finishing the manuscript for my second book, and I'm planning on starting a company just with comic books, poetry, just a whole bunch of different forms of literature and entertainment, things of that nature. And just starting young was one of the big boosts that I had. I feel like a lot of people would try to tell you, well, you need to wait till you know this, or wait till you get this certificate, or wait till you get this. But if you know you have the passion, if you know you got talent and you got the drive to do it, I just go ahead and get started now. So that's one of the biggest things that I did, and I took that advice. Go ahead and get started early with the first book, and to my surprise, it did better than I thought it would.
We got some students coming in.
Okay. What school? Y'all are in Illinois, right?
Correct.
Okay. I keep getting it confused. I keep thinking Chicago's the state. One more thing that I can tell you. Well, let me go ahead and tell y'all what the book's about while people are still coming in. So the book, I know there's a lot of I see a whole bunch of like young kids, maybe elementary school. The book, I would say, is probably, if y'all are interested, it's called Time to Scrap. It's a young adult / teen type book. So maybe 9th grade, 8th grade and up, maybe around there. The biggest people are actually really liking the book. It's like doing real good in Tennessee. The biggest thing, well, let me tell you what it's about first before I go into spoilers or anything like that. The book is about an 18-year-old. His name is Joseph. now I'm not from Memphis, but he lives in Memphis because my other stories take place in Nashville. So I don't want all my stories be in Nashville. Plus, I like the culture of Memphis. Just the area of Memphis. I've been down there a few times. So it takes place in Memphis. He enters a fighting tournament, which is, I don't know if y'all all know about Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or anything like that. It's like a fighting tournament of that nature. And so it's got some fiction in it, some powers and stuff like that. But as he goes throughout the tournament, he has to, deal with real life situation, um, whether it's, racism, whether it's, poverty, just things that I know I come from. And I know a whole bunch of other Black kids and minorities in general go through. So a lot of people love the fact that, especially teenagers, people at my school, they buy it, they're like, okay, I'm gonna buy it to support them, you know what I'm saying? But then when they actually read the book or read the back of the book, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I like this book, I can relate to them, but because it's fictional, but it got their real life element to it. So they like the book because they say the characters, I had somebody come to me say the characters talk like how we talk, or they represent, people that don't get represented, which is people like me, people like I see a lot of yourselves. So and they like the fact that it's fictional and it's entertaining, but it still has very important themes and messages and just representation of people that don't get represented through this type of media, through books or through anything of action. Like I said earlier, I got comic books that's getting ready to drop pretty soon, maybe later this year. And a lot of my different comic book series also feature a lot of Black characters and black boys, Black girls, just different demographics. Because growing up, I've always loved action. I've loved anime. I've loved Transformers. I've loved cartoon shows, but we don't really get represented as much as everybody else do. Or it was hard to find a character that I could just really, really relate to, or that just looks like me. So a lot of people are really liking that, and that's one of my big goals as well, is having representation through characters. Is McDavid there?
No, he's not. He's not in here. He went to go do a podcast. Did you want to open the floor up for questions?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anybody got any questions? Start here. That's loud. Yeah, talking to the laptop here.
What? Hi, my name is Samaya, and I wanted to know, where do you get your creativity from, or how do you inspire yourself when you're having art block?
Where I get my creativity from, it's really just my mom always said I talk too much, or things in my head just keep running and running, but it's mostly from just my childhood or things that I've watched as a little kid. I watch a lot of different anime. I watch Dragon Ball, or I watch Transformers, or I've seen so many different action stuff, and just watching new shows or movies, anything like that will inspire me. Recently, it was a show, I don't know if y'all know, it's called Invincible. I was writing a comic book while I was watching Invincible, and Invincible was so good that it was so good and inspired me so much. I had to go back and rewrite what I was doing, because what I was doing was trash, and I was like, I need to keep up with what's going good. So, just watching different shows, reading different books, and just seeing what's out there, that inspires me a lot, creatively, anyways. Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? Give somebody else a chance. What's your question, Ida? Okay, you let me know when you're ready. Anybody else have a question? What's your question? Okay, you let me know when you're ready, okay? If any of our online students have a question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. When you're relating the character to personal experiences, I guess it depends on the audience, but how deep do you really go into it?
how deep do I go into relating the characters to myself?
Yeah, so how deep do you go into it? Like when I read a book, if they don't have any pictures, I have to somewhat relate it to imagery in my head. So what I mean by how deep is just like how far would you willing to go in the mental space of the imagery?
Yeah, doing books is because like my main, I would say, bread and butter is comic books, which I'm gonna start. But with books is, you're right, you have to use imagery, you have to use words, you know, you have to describe different things. With I know with this book, I mean, I went as deep as I possibly could with it. I know it's a basic, you know, what I know a lot of people call like come up type story, you know, starting from nothing, you know, being in poverty. And I know that's what I went through a lot when I was younger as well. And seeing my mom and my stepfather work hard to bring us up and bring us into a better situation inspired me to I put that a lot into this book as well. So I try to go as deep as I possibly can. I try to hold nothing back with it.
Any other? Yes, question in the back. Come on up so you can hear your question. You got to talk to the computer.
How does it feel to be an entrepreneur?
It feels good. It feels real good, especially oh my God, my dog won't leave me alone. Move. It feels real good. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but if you have, that's why I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to find something or to stick with something that you love. That way, it doesn't feel like work anymore. I mean, when I was writing this book, there was a lot of days where I would write from 12 to 12 p.m. to 12 in the morning, or just write for hours straight like it was a job. But when you find something that you love to do, it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel tedious. It doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't, like, it's fun. It's fun. And biggest thing I can say to entrepreneurs coming up, entrepreneurs, is start now. Do it while you're young. Like we live in 2022. You can research, you can teach yourself, you can, you know, you could go to YouTube and learn how to do anything. If you want to become a game developer, you could research, you know, coding. You could start small, but you could grow. So start young. That was one of my biggest that's one of the biggest thing that helped me. A lot of people were able to buy the book and like me just on the fact that I was young and I was doing it. And I have, you know, people younger than me, I have people older than me, all the way up to their 50s and 60s saying, yo, you're doing something big, you're working hard. You know, they hear about the company that I'm planning on starting there. I inspire them to start their project. So I feel like now in today's age, you could easily get started whenever you're ready to with the technology you have, and you just got to find something you love and stick with it. But being an entrepreneur is fun right now anyway. It's very fun.
Any of our online students have any questions? If you do, go ahead and unmute yourself. I got a question for you, Chris. What disciplines did you have to instill in yourself in order for you to actually see success?
Discipline is very, very important. I know for me personally, it was a lot of time. It was a lot of times where, you know, I like to play the game a lot. It's me, my brother, my cousins. We play Xbox, we play PlayStation. We'll hop online. They'll ask me, "Hey, Chris, you gonna get online or you gonna do this?" And if I'm right, or if I know I want to get this done, sometimes I got to say no. It was just 2 days ago, actually, my brother and sister asked me to play the game, and I told them I'm writing right now. So it's hard, especially when you're, you know, when you want to do something else, or when you want to or if you just feel like, oh, I not today, or, you know, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later. I kind of look at it, not to be grim or nothing, but I always like to look at it as tomorrow's not really a promise to anybody, and, you know, anything can happen. And plus, the sooner you get started, the better. So that's probably the hardest part, I'll say, for some people. You just got to stay disciplined, and sometimes it's hard to stay disciplined, even if it's something that you love, which for me is writing. But staying disciplined is very, very, very important, and you just got to push through it. You got to see you got to see the end goal to stay disciplined.
Awesome. I see we got TJ who has a question. Go ahead, TJ.
I have one question. So, well, technically too. So you said you do comics, correct? I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Okay,
Mhm.
me personally, I'm currently writing a manga or comic myself. Um, when it comes down to drawing the characters, do you pay someone or do you do them yourself? Because
Oh,
currently I'm trying to look for somebody, but I don't know which one's better to do it myself or to pay someone to do it.
yeah. Doing comic books is it's a lot of hard work, which is why I started
Mhm.
off with a book. Yeah, so I know I started I wanted to draw it myself, because I feel like being an author and being a creative, you can see everything yourself. You ain't got to tell nobody,
Mhm.
you ain't got to share it, you ain't got to pay nobody.
Yeah.
You just right then and there. But with me, I had to sit down and I had to have the realization. I had to have the real talk with myself. I was like, okay, one, I'm not a good drawer. Two, uh, two is it's a lot of work. Even
Yeah.
if it's something you love, it's a lot of work to
Mhm.
come up with a script and draw it. So I hire people,
Mhm.
just as a team thing. It's costly, but it's not as expensive as I originally thought it was gonna
Mhm.
be. So but I mean people, especially like I know people that do manga, I know a lot of them they draw it and write it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it really depends on the person, if you got the style, if you got the drawing style that you're going for, if you can do it, by all means go ahead and do it. There's less money you got to spend to hire other people, and
Mhm.
you're the creative too, so you got all the visions of how you want it to look, so you ain't got to worry about the communication either. But I would just say that'll take a lot of work, but I mean it's all going to take a lot of work. So if you got the drive to do it and you got the skills to back it up, go ahead and do it.
The reason why I asked is because I used to draw like a lot, but I kind of branched off into that, and now I do 3D modeling. So all the characters in my first and second book I already have all the characters planned out. I 3D modeled the entire characters. So I was asking because more or less because if I will pay somebody, I actually have someone who suits the art style that I want. He's not going to pay a lot because he likes the idea of the story that I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not gonna be much for me to pay him. And since I kind of made everything easy for him because I have all the characters 3D modeled, all he has to do is draw them. So I was just wondering what would be the best route if I like learn how to draw again or if I continue doing what I'm doing. That's why I was asking.
Oh, from the looks of it, it seems like you got the best of both worlds. I mean, you done already started. I mean, if you could 3D model it, I think you can draw it. I mean, I don't know about much about 3D modeling, but I
Hmm.
mean, that sounds like, you've already got the creative genes and creative, DNA to back up yourself. But I mean, that's one thing I found too, because when I did Time to Scrap, it's a lot of fighting characters and stuff.
Yes.
So artists sometimes they'll come to you like if they like the project. Like I've had people draw for me for free so far. I've paid people here and there, but some people just draw because they love the idea and they back it up. And it sounds
Hmm.
like you got that too. So I mean, you. It looks like you got the best of both worlds. It just depends on how you feel and what you feel is right, what you feel is best for you.
Hmm.
You got an artist that will draw for you for a nice price, and you said you already got history and drawing, and you already got creative.
Yes.
I can see you got creative heart with the 3D modeling. So you got the
Hmm.
best of both worlds. It just depends on what you think will be best for you in the long term.
Okay. And now I have this probably was my last question. The hardest part for me is the setup. Like, how do you do the pages? How do you do all the stuff like that? Because I already have everything written out. Obviously, the characters are being drawn out, but how do I set the actual pages up? That's the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now.
To get the actual pages. So wait, do you have like a manuscript? Like you've already got the dialogue
Yes,
and stuff ready?
yes, I have all the dialogue and stuff like that. I'm just trying to figure out like how would I make the pages? That was the part that's iffy to me.
Okay. The pages, you have a lot of creative control there. You could
Hmm.
give it to and or so if you give it, so say you have an artist, right? And
Hmm.
you're working with this guy. What I like to do, I like to give my artists a little bit more creative freedom. But it like I said, it all depends on you. You could have it set in stone how you want this, how you want that, how you want this. how you want this box or how this panel to look or how you want
Mhm.
this panel to look, and you can like give them like a blueprint, or you can write it in your manuscript actually of put it in like parentheses or something. I'll be like, okay, in this panel, yada yada, in this
Mhm.
scene, yada yada. So it just depends on you. I like to give my artists a little bit more creative leadway and creative room when they doing things. So yeah, that's just one of those things. It's up to you. You know, that's the beauty of literature, art. You know, comic books. You know, it can be done in so many different ways.
So many different
It's
ways.
just sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. I know, because I remember
Yes.
when I first came into it, I always thought it was just one set stone way to do it.
Yep.
But then, you know, when I get feedback from other people, or I'll ask other people, they'll be like, well, you can do it like this, you can do it like this, it's like
Mhm.
this. So, you know, you just takes time, take research, figure out which one suits you, and just, you know, continue on that road.
Okay. And my final question, if I can have your Instagram or anything like that, because I would love to continue talking to you about this, about my journey
Mhm.
into comic books, because I want to make this in series, an entire series. So I would
Yeah.
love to get your show shoes so we can continue talking about this stuff like this.
Yeah. My Instagram is Stedman Entertainment, Stedman underscore entertainment, STEADMAN entertainment. You can follow me there. That's where I post like book updates and just different, all sorts of type of stuff. I post polls about animes and games and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, you just text me there. I'll get back to you pretty
Okay.
quick.
Awesome. Thank you for your question, TJ. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. I'm gonna start. I forgot your name. You gotta come on up. You gotta come on up so you can hear your question. We got her coming up. Jazz.
My question, what was it? Question.
She forgot. She forgot her question.
How do you advertise your book?
Good question.
How do I advertise my books?
Yeah.
I advertised through I was doing a lot. I gave it to a lot of, so the first thing I did was I looked for local news media, local like the Laverne News, or I went to Channel 2, Channel 5, and for a while it took them a minute to reply back to me, but they eventually got back to me. But the biggest boom was my school district, which is why I say, you know, society loves when young people do things new, or when they're doing something positive, or when they're doing something, you know, just in an entrepreneur mindset. So when my school district posted it on their Facebook, it actually got, I think right now it's in like at 6,000 shares and likes on Facebook. So it just spread it throughout Tennessee faster than anything. I think that was that did more than any news coverage or anything did. It was my own school district. So, you know, that's why I say starting young can be such a big, you know, game plan. That's why if you look on TV or news now, you know, you can see a lot of things. They'll be like, oh, 7-year-old did this or 8-year-old did that. You know, when you're young, you know, society loves, you know, when you do something big or when you do something different like that. So that was one of the biggest, you know, different ways I advertise. But I mean, there's so many ways you could pay advertisement, you know, contact your local news. I contacted them, and no, actually they contacted me because of my school district. But, you know, for me, I just go to different libraries. You know, I had a book signing at Laverne Library, so that's what I did. And social media. Social media plays a big role too.
Hold on. Anybody else got a question? Okay, hold on. You had a chance. I'm gonna ask Lennox and I'm gonna get to you. Okay. Lennox, what's your question?
How many books have you sold?
He wants to know how many books have you currently sold?
Right now, I've sold. I know the last time I checked was, I think, last week. I have, but I know I've gotten more. I've gotten like a little over 1,000, and want to say 20 something, over 1,020 sales.
Awesome. Go ahead. I don't got another question coming.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. How do you put like mature topics in a book that's suited for children so children can read it and understand, but it's not like as mature, like a book for first graders that you put topics that a sixth grader would talk about to a first grader, explaining it to them?
Have a seat.
So how would I do a book like mature to like the first grade level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's trying to ask, how would you tackle mature content for a younger audience?
That's a real good question. I would just, a big part of, I know when I was younger, for example, my mom, she used to read books to me, like when I was maybe in kindergarten and first grade, and having a theme to it. There's a lot of stories where, I mean, you gotta be subtle. That's one of be subtle. You gotta be aware of your audience, but so you just gotta be aware of your audience. When you're putting something hardcore, say you want to make a book about, racism or, police brutality or injustices in the court system, you don't just want to come out saying, "Oh, yeah, racist, racist, racist," scaring a little kid. So you just got to be subtle and be, gentle and put it in there nicely, and, making sure that they can, pick up on it, but without being afraid. So you just got to be subtle with it.
Have a seat. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat, sir. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Do you have like a book coach that coaches you?
Nah, no, ma'am. I just, just started writing. A lot of people think you need certain people or certain things, but the beauty of technology, I just hopped on Microsoft Word, started typing, went to Amazon. You can self-publish on Amazon. You can self-publish a book through there, and just did it that way. You could get a editor to make sure your grammar is correct, but as far as book coaching, no, I don't have a book coach.
Chris, would you speak on the importance of mentorship and networking?
Yeah. Mentorship, as far as mentors for me, I know a couple of I did a podcast not too long ago, and they asked a similar questions. My biggest influencers in the school anyways, I remember, was my math teacher. And when it comes to mentors, you gotta actually just listen, because 9 times out of 10, they've been on the same path, they've been on the same road, they've been there. We're all young. I'm 18. A lot of y'all look younger than me, so they've been, they've been here, they've done it. So even if they made a mistake in the past before, or even if they, didn't go all the way as far as they would want to. Like my mom, she tells me all the time, she didn't go as far as I want to, but her messing up, showed me the way. And as far as networking is everything. It's hard to do a business without networking, actually. So, different connections and different, just getting yourself out there. Social media is, it's a tool that can be used for, bad, or you can use it for your own benefits. So networking plays a very important role. You just got to get yourself out there.
Any of our online students, do you have any questions? No. All right, anybody else got a question? Destiny, you got a question? Come on. Waiting for it to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you get your favorite inspiration from?
Who?
She wants to know who's your inspirations.
Okay. Oh, my inspirations. Okay. Well, oh God, this could go for a while. So the book that got me into writing and not got me into writing, but showed me that I could be an author, is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It's a pretty big book. They made a movie about it not too long ago. her being, she's African American, and the book tackles a lot of heavy issues that the Black community goes through. And even though it was a big controversy of, or is this a kid's book, yada yada, my teacher, she gave it to me when I was no, she didn't give it to me, she started reading it to me when I was in the 8th grade. And just seeing that, that opened my world. Not that I didn't know that Black people could be authors, but just the fact that I never saw one, just really seeing a Black author make a book like The Hate You Give, it kind of showed me like, oh, okay, this is an actual path. This is an actual career that I could do. Now that she's done it, I see that she's done it and it worked. So she's a very, very big influencer. She actually bought my book, which was a very big thing for me. I'm still kind of flabbergasted about that. But I mean, I got plenty of influencers. LeBron James, he's one of them, not just, because he's one of the greatest basketball players, but what he does off the court too. I kind of value that, even though he's rich and, he could easily say, forget everybody. He always gives back. He starts schools, he does things, to help the community. So he's one of them. I listen to, I know I ain't gonna try to sound too old, even though he's nowhere near my era. I listen to a lot of Tupac. Tupac is a big inspiration for me. Kendrick Lamar. So yeah, those are probably like my top influences.
That's awesome. Not only is LeBron James the greatest basketball player to ever step foot on the court, he's also a great mentor as well. I think we got one more question for you here.
If you had to choose one topic about something going on in the real world right now, and then turn that into a story, what would be the title of the story? And what would the topic be?
I like that.
So right now, actually, that's very, very good question, because it goes into the book that I'm just now finishing up right now. I'm going to start the process of getting it copyrighted. Let me see. I don't want to go too grim with it. In Nashville last year around this time, there was a 3-year-old that she got killed during an accident due to violence. So I took that, and that, the topic of the book I'm writing now is, it deals with a lot of gun violence and violence in the community, and it's called Under Pressure. I called it Under Pressure because I feel like a lot of teens, a lot of, young minority teens, they face a lot of pressure due to, the society that, some of us grow up in and some that we got to deal with. So, and I got it, speaking of Tupac, that's the name of a Tupac song too. It talks about the same thing, just dealing with pressure, dealing with, a lot of people say, or they make bad choices, or, they're, yada, yada this, but they don't know the pressure that we go through, or the circumstances of these things we go through. So gun violence is the topic that this book is going to be, and it's going to be called Under Pressure.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for that, guys. Everybody give a round of applause. You got another question? Okay, wait, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry, we just want to make sure the young entrepreneurs are able to communicate with another young entrepreneur. Okay, stop. Thanks. All right, go ahead. We have one more question for you, bro. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
What's your favorite book that you've written?
That I've written?
Yes.
Time to Scrap is the one I was describing, the fighting book. That's I love that book. I love it. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, last one. Okay.
What's your favorite topic to write about?
Anything that I see going on in my community, or that I feel that I could give a different perspective or voice to, for things that don't get talked about. Those are what I like to talk about. Talking about things that everybody's already talking about or done it's not really fun for me to do it. It's not really challenging as an author. So writing things that nobody talks about, which is usually things that goes on in our community, that's what I look forward to writing about.
All right, everybody give a round of applause for Chris.
Thank you.
we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to give back and reach back and give back the knowledge that you have obtained and helps to helping someone else accomplish the same things that you accomplished, and also to see more of that in our community. Appreciate you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Peace out, bro.
Peace.